Okay. One Piece chapter 953. So Onimaru, if I'm reading the chapter right, was actually that guy that stole the sword from Zoro because he transforms into a fox. That's interesting. That's interesting right there. So he was a fox spirit this whole time. Jesus, Oda. Okay, I know Oda has kind of dabbled in the mythology before, but like on this one, it makes sense because, Wano and Japanese folklore and everything, it makes a lot of sense. Like Orochi, all that makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, just like the connective tissue to the mythology. But I didn't see that one coming, that this was the actual fox spirit that you had Kawamatsu talking about. That's interesting to me. So I gotta say, this is pretty good. This is pretty good in the sense that it opens up with the flashback where you had Kawamatsu reading the note from Hiyori. Hiyori saying, "Thank you for everything you've done. I'll be fine." You see Kawamatsu trying to actually find her and protect her, and he ends up finding his purpose later on once he meets the actual fox spirit that is guarding all those katanas that are used as grave markers. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I like how you get this moment to where, Zoro, he's chasing it around and he's saying like, "Hey, what's going on with all these bloodstains right here? I'll just follow them and see if I can't track down that bastard." And you see all of these dead bodies all over the trail, and you get this moment to where Kawamatsu is looking at Bandit's Bridge and he's like, "Damn, I didn't expect them to still be trying to hunt down and rob the actual graves of these people. This is absolutely crazy." And you have the playful banter back and forth with Hiyori where she's puffing out her face saying, "I'm not a child anymore." And Kawamatsu's like, "Hey, you kind of act like a child right now." Like, that playful banter is so nice because what you see with Hiyori is when she was pretending to be Komurasaki, that was something completely different because she was being cold and calculated in how she was actually targeting people. In this regard right here, she's reverted back to being a small child again. And I thought that was cool because, it just shows you that to a certain extent, despite everything that's happened to her, her innocence as a child is still there. So I thought that was a nice little addition right there. And I gotta say, on this regard too, I like how you get this moment to where as they start revealing everything that happened, where Kawamatsu is going through the land of Ringo, and he talks about how during this time the daimyo was the master of a sword that always traveled with a fox companion, but he says that Kaido saw to it that essentially that Ringo didn't escape the destruction that he unleashed either. And you get this moment where they talk about the eternal graves and they talk about Onimaru. And what's so interesting right there is that you see how Onimaru is trying to protect the swords that are used as grave markers. And Onimaru, even after Kawamatsu feeds him and takes care of him for a while, the moment that Kawamatsu tries to actually take those katanas, that's when he's just biting into his flesh, and you get this back and forth moment to where Kawamatsu says like, "Look, I'm going to take these swords. There is a battle coming. This war is not over. A bigger battle will be coming in 13 years. And he says that for a nation of samurai to stand proud, they need to be able to use swords. And he says, "I'll let you rip off my arm. If that's something you want, you can rip off my arm, but I'm still going to take these swords." And you get this very heart-touching moment where Onimaru lets go, and Onimaru begins to actually lick his wounds, because I guess that's his way of apologizing and saying that he's accepted what he said. And what they decide to do is they decide to actually try and hide the swords. And what's so crazy in this instance right here is that as you get this background information, we're actually leading to how Kawamatsu actually got captured, because he had been going into the city trying to steal food, and on one such occasion when he tries to steal the food, that's when Onimaru ends up losing him because Kawamatsu gets sloppy. And what I find interesting here is the fact that you get this moment to where Kawamatsu says, "I don't think that Onimaru would have stuck around after 13 years. And yet that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happens here, because you get this panel to where Onimaru is hiding behind a corner. He's almost looking like he's hiding out of shame, out of not wanting to face Kawamatsu again. And what I like here is that after he transforms back into his normal state, that's when Hiyori looks over at Zoro and says, if your sword is indeed the legendary Shusui, I need you to return it back to Wano. And Zoro's like, yo, I don't care about none of that right there. That's my sword. And, you know, I get it. Zoro's got the 3 sword style. Zoro has no chill, doesn't give a fuck about any of the history behind the sword. He just knows that he's used it. And Zoro's a picky man about his blades. But that's when Oda drops a revelation. I told you, Oda was keeping that sword away for a reason, because Hiyori says, I'll give you an even better sword in return. I'll give you the sword called Enma. It's a legendary katana, the only thing that's ever damaged Kaido in the past. And so what I think what's going on right here is that if a sword like that actually does huge damage to Kaido, if that's something that actually happens, I don't know if maybe Oda is going this route, but is Oda setting the stage for Zoro to be the one that actually kills Kaido? That's gonna be interesting, because for Zoro to be given a sword like this is one of those times to where you don't just drop that line in there in passing. It kind of goes back to payoff. You know, you can't sprinkle this into the story and then you never capitalize on it. If this is a sword that does huge damage to Kaido, that's a sword that you got to give to Zoro, and Zoro's got to use it. And it's only fitting, in my opinion, if it ends up being Zoro that brings down Kaido, because Luffy's got like the one shots and taking people down. Sure, go right ahead for it. However, you know, Zoro is actually a descendant of people from the Wano area, which will explain his whole thing with swords, and Zoro being a samurai, this being a land of samurai right here. This is one of those times to where if you have Zoro be the one that strikes down Kaido, because, say, Hiyori isn't strong enough to do it, obviously, or Momonosuke, obviously his balls haven't dropped yet, Zoro, it's only fitting that a samurai be the one that takes down a emperor that has taken over a nation of samurai. That would be so poetic right there to actually have that happen, and to have somebody that's a member of the worst generation actually be the one that actually strikes down Kaido. That's going to be interesting. What if Luffy takes down Big Mom and then Zoro takes down Kaido? What if you have like a member of the worst generation, each top tier member, so like Zoro and Kid and Luffy and Law, they take down one of the 4 emperors themselves? That'd be kind of poetic right there. It's like a passing of the torch, if you will. However, my question to you guys is, what are you guys' thoughts about the revelation of Onimaru? Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.